An item for value, it is essentially to know its technique. For it, the item should be broken into various phases depending upon its nature, design of the item, its arrangement and its appearance, metal or non-metal from which the parts are made and their properties and process involved in manufacturing, etc. Mechanics of items, what does it comprises of? Gear wheels, electrical circuits, servo mechanism, etc. We can't get knowledge of all the spheres in one organization. So, we have to collect the knowledge from outside, say from specialists who are expert in their own technology. If we feel the necessity of it getting from outside, we should not think that we are failing, but it should be taken to vasten the knowledge. Specialized knowledge in the most of the technical field is advancing so rapidly that it is impossible for engineer and other working in an undertaking to keep abreast of the latest developments. So, it is necessary to get knowledge of specific product from its specialist. Without it, it may happen that we lost the opportunity of improving value and reducing cost. Next is use standard part whenever possible. Standard parts are interchangeable and cheaper than specially made parts. This is because standard parts are generally made by mass production method, leading to uniformity, interchangeability and reduced cost. So, it should be our country, and if we have knowledge of these standards, we can improve the value or the cost of product, and for it we can also make our own standards. If these standards are not suitable for our purpose, for example, an interesting example of World War II is taken. 1,000 landing crafts, each fitted with 200-gallon petrol tank, had to be manufactured in USA and sent to the eastern theaters of war. A 200-gallon tank fabricated from MS plate, mild steel plates, was estimated to cost $520 each. Various alternatives were considered systematically. Finally, the solution adopted was to use 4 50-gallon standard drums with a special coating and suitable connected with pipes at a total completed cost of $80 per set. This brought about a reduction of 4,40,000 for a whole job, and in addition the overall time required for the job, which is of great importance during wartime, was considerably reduced as the standard drum were rarely available. Next, consult your supplier for new ideas. Ideas and suggestions arising out of the experience of our suppliers can be great help to you. The supplier may put you in touch with those who may helpful to you in solving your problem. Many suppliers would be willing to develop new techniques to suit your need to the mutual advantage of both. Good buyer-seller relations are therefore essential for value analysis. For example, in a chemical factory, some materials in solid form had to be conveyed from one building to another for further processing. A belt conveyor was the most obvious answer. The supplier was casually informed of the offer received for the belt conveyor for transporting the material. He casually inquired about the process involved and was told that the chemical was dissolved in a solvent in a new building for further processing. He then suggested that dissolving the chemical in the solvent in the first building and pumping it to the second building would be more economical. The new idea is found to quite feasible. A suitable pump and the necessary pipeline were eventually instead installed for the purpose at a considerable lower initial cost. It was also found that the maintenance cost of a pumping set pipeline was much lower than of a belt conveyor. Next is think creativity. We should think creativity for every problem, whether a difficult problem or simpler. We should have a new creative ideas. These may be taken from other. For example, the starting casing of a vertical electric motor was subjected to a fine machining at considerable cost. All kinds of seasons were advanced, justifying the necessity for such machining, the most important of which was that water accumulates on the surface if not machined and results in rapid corrosion and deteriorations. It was observed that the casing was in any case coated with anti-corrosive paint. Creative tank with other techniques briefing mentioned here led to the conclusion that since the casing was given an anti-corrosive paint coating even after it is being machined, it need to be machined at all on its vertical sloping side, while the top of the casing could just the rough machined. As company needed a number of such motors of its own use, this value analysis effort resulted in an annual saving of rupees 10,000. Refine ideas. When all possible alternatives have been developed to perform the basic functions of an item, it is necessary to get at slight additional cost the secondary function of the item in the form of alternatives. The process goes on and at last only one acceptable alternatives is taken. Then it is subjected to intensive creative thinking that and new ideas of improving it may strike you. For example, an interesting example of use of some of these techniques comes from the rayon spinning process in a rayon factory in India. An important tubes about 2 feet long and 1 inch diameter has an internal diameter of 3/8 of an inch through which the rayon passes. It at one end, this tube is fixed in a machine for a length of about 3 inch only. Each such glass tube costs rupees 75 each and about 800 are used each year. After careful analysis, creative thinking and refining ideas continuously, bearing in mind that the internal diameter alone performs the main function, indicated that as the 1 inch diameter for the tubes were required only for holding it in the machine at one end. It was not necessary for the rest of length of the tube. It was then necessary to determine by how much the diameter of the tube for the rest of its length was reduced to about half inch. This brought down the cost to rupees 10 per tube, thus resulting in an annual saving of over rupees 40,000. Next is remove all the roadblocks. Roadblocks are nothing but the ideas of existing way given by one's colleague and others, which one is likely to accept. These people are generally reluctant to change. But we should have in our mind that up to when the top manager individually or collectively do not examine the existing policies, practices, methods and techniques with to changing them where necessary in the interest of increased efficiency and productivity, any industry or business cannot be raised. Roadblocks arises principally from the ignorance and inherent resistance to change. These may be tackled with patience, tact and carefully explaining the new points of view or the proposed method to the individual concerned. Next is get the maximum cooperation from your colleagues in other department with whom you have to deal. One value analyst may not be fully conversant with all details of working of various departments. So, he should be polite to everyone, so that when time comes he may secure his fullest cooperation. He may take ideas for the departmental staff upon the problem. In this way, the value analyst can not only overcome their resistance to change, but secure their help and cooperation too. Always ask yourself the question, would I spend my money this way? When a man purchases anything, strive to obtain the maximum value of for this money. He examines the use function and appearance functions from the point of view of the money he has to pay. When he spends his money, he will instinctively think of the use value and esteem value etc. of items and their relative cost. This simple techniques requires that you apply the same criteria as in personal buying. For example, in a cellulose film manufacturing company in India, for the packing and cellulose film, a cylindrical wooden rod of about 8 inch diameter and approximately 2 feet in length was used to support each bobbin by passing the rod through it. Each such rod costs ₹1 and about 70,000 rods are used every year. So, we should have questions here. If it were MAPE money, would I spend my way, as the cost appeared to the too high for the supporting function the rod was doing. Eventually, the rod was replaced by 2 wooden cross strips of the half inches thickness at the cost of 35 paisa. As the supporting function was adequately performed by this cheaper device, the approximate annual saving of ₹45,000. A good understanding of each of these techniques helps in the selection of the relevant techniques for application to a particular problem. Advantage of value engineering. It determines the desirable features of each product in terms of requirement of the customer. It maintains the quality of product. It provides product at a lowest possible cost. It increases the procedural production and the product efficiencies. It gives proper attention and simplification standardizations and improved method of production. It saves the cost of product, which is treated as increased efficiency. It gives value of the new creative ideas. It improves your career skills. It separates symptoms from problems. It takes commands of powerful problem solving methodology to use in any situations. It optimizes construction expenditures. It improves quality management. It increases profit of an organization. Thank you, students.